Fear Factor is hands down the most insane game show to ever exist, and it's not even up for debate. Before Joe Rogan became the world-famous podcaster and UFC commentator we know today, his first big break was hosting one of NBC's most successful shows to ever air. You see, in the early 2000s, reality TV was the big new trendy thing. At the time, Survivor and other shows from the genre were insanely popular. Due to this, NBC slowly started becoming irrelevant. Hyperbole, of course. I'm sure they were still sitting on billions of dollars. But CBS was taking off like a rocket, leaving NBC in its trails in the cable rating wars. NBC wasn't comfortable sitting back and accepting the silver medal, so they needed a reality show of their own to compete. Well, let me tell you, they swung for the fences and hit one of the wildest, flukiest home runs I've ever witnessed. I say that because Fear Factor should not have worked. Something is terribly wrong with us. Let me explain. Applicants from all over America are selected at random to partake in 3 extreme stunts for a $50,000 grand prize. The first and third events were usually thrilling, exhilarating tests of physicality, usually involving heights, moving vehicles, narrow ledges, spinning wheels, and of course, some type of safety harness. Every now and again, they'd freak the formula and do things that were a bit more intense. In a season 3 episode, contestants are being hunted down by trained attack dogs. Then there was the time they had to be strapped down and take these gruesome piercings to the arm. Another messed up one was when players were tossed into body bags, submerged underwater, and had to escape before running out of air. Then they kicked it up a notch and created stunts to tackle certain phobias head on. In a season 1 episode, a contestant terrified of snakes was forced to face her fears. Another stunt had players strut the runway butt naked, as public nudity is an extremely common phobia. And if you have a thing against insects, you'd probably die at the sight of the Covered in Bees challenge or the tarantula episode.
45 seconds. Allison, what are you doing? Why do you have your eyes closed?
Open your eyes. I don't really want to see anymore. I don't want to see them.
In the early 2000s, this was groundbreaking television. You might be saying, I've seen a lot worse on TV. And by today's standards, Fear Factor might be considered tame. This statement would be true if it weren't for a little thing I like to call the infamous second stunt. I don't know what kind of sick psychological game plan they had, but this show was twisted. They build your confidence up in round 1, make you feel good about yourself for completing something difficult, and then they completely strip you of your dignity and humiliate you in round 2. I mean, hear me out. The extreme stunts, underwater challenges, heights, and explosions, yeah, all of that was cool. But everyone, whether you'd like to admit it or not, everyone tuned in for that second stunt because it would be absolutely disgusting. In a season 2 episode, unsuspecting contestants had to eat live Madagascar hissing cockroaches. In another episode, players had their mental will tested when they had to consume buffalo testicles. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, I witnessed multiple people crumble under pressure when they were forced to down a pile of cow brains.
Okay.
Can't do it, dude. That's so... Wow.
There was even one unhinged episode that the NBC network straight up refused to air because it was too disgusting. I can't even tell you what the contestants had to do. You're gonna have to wait till later on in the video. I promise you guys, I'm not trying to tease it to make you stay till the end or anything like that. YouTube guidelines won't even let me show or speak on disturbing content this early into a video. Bad for advertisers or some silly nonsense like that. Then they start playing around with the money and I might get demonetized, strike my channel, all that foolishness. Just know that this show was absolutely sickening. But something about it was just so alluring. It's like the train wreck you can't help but look at. So kick back and enjoy, because I personally can't wait to revisit the most disgusting game show ever created. It's time to check out Fear Factor. In the late 90s, actor-comedian Joe Rogan was most known for his role on the NBC sitcom News Radio. Years later, the network determined his personality would be perfect for a brand new show they had in development. The dichotomy between his nonchalant, laid-back delivery and the intensity of the stunts made for a good pairing. At first, Rogan didn't believe the show would last that long due to its disgusting nature, but after some back and forth, he accepted NBC's offer. Obviously, that show would go on to be Fear Factor, the show where 6 people from all over the country gather together for one reason: stare fear in the eye as they compete for $50,000. To win the money, they have to complete 3 extreme stunts that not only test them physically, but mentally as well. If they're too afraid to attempt a stunt, they're eliminated. If they try a stunt but fail to complete it, they're gone. It's a pretty simple and straightforward premise, and I guess that was also a part of its charm. Prior to Fear Factor, game shows were generic and followed a specific blueprint. We were conditioned to shows like Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and The Price is Right. Viewers have never seen anything as edgy as this. At this point in time, the wildest moments we've seen on a game show was probably The Weakest Link, and that's only because the host was rude as shit. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Like, yeah, that's rude as hell. Don't be so dismissive, lady. Like I mentioned earlier, the extreme stunts actually look like cool activities. There's an episode where the players have to jump from speedboat to speedboat, transporting flags from one to the other. Or the time the contestants had to act as a counterbalance on this seesaw contraption suspended way up in the air. These type of stunts looked fun to me. Maybe I'm just a sicko perhaps. I'm a thrill seeker. I'm into crazy shit like that. I've been skydiving and I've walked on top the CN Tower, the tallest structure here in my city. Fear Factor did this cool thing where it made the average human being feel like they could succeed. It was a fairly balanced game show. You would think the big, burly, overly confident dude would win every episode, but the show had a good mix of stunts that tested your mental, physical, as well as your strength and agility. Sometimes little skinny women would breeze through a stunt the stereotypical jock couldn't due to his size. Given my build and athleticism, I honestly think I would have been perfect for Fear Factor. I believe I'd be able to do 85–90% of the challenges, and that I'd have a good shot at winning $50K. If it weren't for that goddamn infamous second stunt. Yeah, we all sit at home like, hey, I think I might be able to do that. But that's us speaking with couch privilege, because you really never truly know how disgusting a beetle or cockroach might taste. Over 9 seasons, I've seen way too much nasty shit to be overly confident. It's safe to say I draw the line at stunt number 2. The second event usually had the players gather in a grimy ass looking spot. The most dank, nasty looking locations they could possibly find, like an old abandoned factory or rundown cellar infested with rats and other rodents. There were some milder stunts that seemed doable to the average person. For example, Season 1, Episode 4 had a lady drop out of the competition due to personal beliefs. She was a vegetarian and forfeited $50K because she wouldn't eat a worm. Come on, this is Fear Factor, lady. You know what you signed up for. Leave your beliefs at home. You can eat one worm for $50,000, then go right back to being a vegetarian. Season 2, Episode 16, contestants were forced to consume squid guts, hot peppers, and a 100-year-old egg. Like, where the hell did they manage to get these? Which weirdo scientist was studying decay and just had 100-year-old eggs laying around? This next one wasn't too bad because technically you didn't have to eat anything. In Season 2, Episode 7, players had to bob for chicken feet in a tank filled with 20,000 live wax worms. Yeah, it looks atrocious because the bugs resemble maggots, but technically you don't have to swallow. Pause. Grab the chicken feet, spit everything out. Simple. Like I mentioned previously, not every single second stunt had to be disgusting per se. For example, Season 3, Episode 6 tested the individual's pain tolerance by having them walk a randomly determined distance on broken glass with their bare feet. This might be one of the first times I caught myself turning away from the screen. Some of the angles they chose to shoot from just look gruesome, as you can see shards of glass slicing through layers of skin. Another non-gross stunt was the Season 2 Nude Runway Challenge. It was a weird-ass episode that would probably never fly today with all the current rules and regulations. The guys and girls literally just stripped down butt-ass naked in front of Joe Rogan as he stares deep into the crevices of their bodies. Then these obvious hired actors are in the crowd just staring like, Ew, look at him. Joe's commentary doesn't do him any favors because he's just there making these uncalled for, perverted sexual comments.
It's a grower, not a shower.
Come on, man. Pause. And just when you thought we hit rock bottom, Joe lowers the bar to hell. The last contestant to walk the runway is a girl. She tells Joe she's a cheerleader. So naturally, like any perverted sexual predator would do, I can't make this shit up. He tells her to do a cartwheel while she's butt-ass naked. That's sexual harassment, Joe. You can't do that. I mean, unless she's a willing participant and happily agrees to. Now, these contestants thought they were safe once completing this event, only for producers to hit them with a rug pull and force them to eat live cockroaches in the very next event. I don't know, man. This is where the show starts to lose me. In a life or death situation, I think I may be able to, but you can literally see a guy go for it. Then he gags, pause, drinks his vomit, gags once again, and then drinks it down one last time. This shit is gross. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I was a masochist as a teenager, but I truly don't remember it being this bad as a kid. And I know I wasn't the only sick watching every week. The numbers back it up. Fear Factor was one of NBC's most successful shows. It made upwards of $600 million in profit. Now, we're gonna continue, but I need to let you guys know I'm trying my best to go in order from least disgusting to most disgusting. So if this has been too much for you already, it's only gonna get worse. So feel free to tap out whenever you're ready. I won't hold it against you. But to make up for it, hey, drop a like, comment I quit, and subscribe on your way out. See you on the next video. As for the rest of you sadistic bastards, let's carry on. Season 3, episode 25, the contestants had to milk a goat. Not too bad, right? Yeah. Except they had to use nothing but their mouths. This is fucked up solely off the visual alone. I'm not even sure I can show this footage on YouTube because it looks so sexually suggestive. Is this not reality? No? Okay, whatever. But since we're here, only makes sense to pivot over to Season 3, Episode 2, where the players had to take part in a Fear Factor weenie roast. Do I really need to explain? You have an imagination? Use it. It's exactly what it sounds like. Joe Rogan and his demented producers have gathered a lovely assortment of animal dicks. Participants are forced to gobble down one of 4 types of barbecue dick. The delicacies they get to choose from are bull, water buffalo, deer, or elk.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, good God.
This is rock bottom.
Sick of barbecue? Well, I hope you like Italian food. Up next, we'll travel back to Season 2 where contestants had to eat a plate of Fear Factor spaghetti and meatballs. Except noodles, tomatoes, and ground beef are too boring. So Joe replaced it with live worms and coagulated cow blood balls. Do you know what coagulated means? You know when you get a cut and maybe after a day or so the blood will start to darken and harden? That's coagulated. So they took cow blood and waited for it to almost solidify, and now these poor bastards have to down it. And for added value, why not wrap those dried blood balls in raw pig intestine? If you're not into spaghetti, in Season 3, Episode 15, players are blessed with a pizza challenge. Contaminated dough with an animal blood base, topped with shredded rotten cheese, red worms, and fish eyes. I swear to God, I had to fast forward through this one. To break up the monotony and give you guys a small break from this wretched filth, I want to talk about their special holiday-themed episodes for a second. With a show as straightforward as Fear Factor, you'd think they would just follow the same blueprint every episode. But to their credit, they got funky every now and then. A few times a year, Joe Rogan and his lovely staff would treat the participants to a more lighthearted path to the $50,000 prize. These episodes would be fairly simple, require no athleticism, and most importantly, include no eating anything unpleasant. And if you believe that for a split second, you're uninformed and have never seen Fear Factor before. The Valentine's special had couples French kiss each other while exchanging cockroaches in their mouths. The Christmas episode had contestants eat reindeer balls and drink 100-year-old eggnog. And the 2-hour Thanksgiving special made these poor saps eat mashed potatoes infested with maggots and sheep brain pie to wash it all down.
Sheep's brain pie with worms. I'm gonna cut you off a nice slice.
All right. To the 4 or 5 sick who are still here with me, we're in the home stretch now. Season 4 was the first season to receive major changes. $1 million prizes, non-elimination rounds where cars and trips were up for grabs instead, and the nasty they ramped it all the way up. They said, "F it, let's go for it." I have no insider info whatsoever, so I'll say I assume. I assume this is when Joe was getting sick of seeing people sell their dignity for money, so he begged. He begged the producers to dial back the gross levels a bit. They said hell no and turned that dial all the way up. They went insane. Every prior episode, Joe holds it down and is rarely grossed out. As a matter of fact, in one episode, he tried to motivate a player by demonstrating eating a tomato hornworm. To his credit, he actually did it. Hey, that right there is a dedicated host.
Fight you when you do it?
Yeah.
You will do it, definitely?
Yeah. No!
This season marks the beginning of Joe looking visibly disgusted, and he even spoke out a few times. Verbatim, he said he can't believe Fear Factor is allowed to be a show.
That is so nasty.
Over the thing! I can't believe this is a real show.
Certain stunts were so over the top that contestants were seen almost vomiting just from hearing Joe explain the rules.
Suck out the blended maggots from this bowl, and you okay?
I'm fine.
You just gagged already.
Season 4 also introduced what I like to call the 3-hit combo. Like normal, Joe will explain whatever nasty shit the contestants have to eat, but he'd go on to hit him with an "and then," as if that wasn't nasty enough, then run it back again with another "and then," as if to make it a full combo, appetizer, main, and dessert.
Using only your mouth, you must transfer those roaches into this container.
And then...
You will then have to drink a glass of disgusting lard and cow parts.
And then...
Another glass of rotten Fear Factor milk.
Another example.
Going to have to lie in that bathtub covered with thousands of leeches.
Hadouken! And then...
Run over to your partner, who will then suck 30 leeches off your body.
Shoryuken! And then...
Each of you will then eat 10 leeches.
But enough beating around the bush. In Season 4, Episode 12, Joe wants to celebrate with a glass of wine. Not just any old wine, Fear Factor wine. The contestants have to hop into a basin full of live worms. Using only their feet, they must mash and grind the worms until their guts liquefy and pour down a chute and fill a glass. Once at the marked line, they then hop out and chug it. This is gross. In Season 4, Episode 22, Joe is the most uncomfortable you'll see him throughout the whole series. The players are seated in front of pounds of raw cow intestines. Using their mouths, they must tear through the rubbery organs, releasing the bodily fluids trapped inside. Then, fill a cup to a certain level and, of course, drink it all down without gagging. This was the one and only stunt where Joe admitted there was no chance in hell he'd be able to complete it.
There's a few things we've done that I go, you know what? If I had to do this, I don't think I could do it. This one, I know I couldn't do it.
This next one here should have been banned for the sheer volume of food the participants had to consume. This was honestly torture to watch, and I can only assume even worse to eat. Players had to team up and finish a meal from the official Fear Factor food truck. Their feast consists of Madagascar hissing cockroaches, lubber grasshoppers, rat hair tortilla chips, and blood salsa with floating maggots for extra flavor. Nasty shit. All right, time to cut the crap. There was one episode NBC straight up refused to air. They said we've officially gone too far. The cow brains, bull testicles, buffalo dick, all that was cool. But hey guys, now we've officially gone too far. We can't air this. They pulled it. Of course they pulled it. They can't air this. So, in an unaired season 7 episode, there was a segment titled Donkey Juice. For the longest time, this episode was believed to be a myth, but in recent years, footage has made its way to the internet. The group of contestants gather around as Joe reveals 2 jars of donkey juice. I'm not even gonna fix my fucking mouth to tell you guys what this is. You have sense. Use your imagination. They grabbed male donkeys and juiced them. One jar is full of yellow liquid, and the other has this thick, creamy, whitish liquid. That is exactly what you think it is. Yup, donkey golden juice and donkey baby fluids. And yes, they drink it. I'm not gonna show it. Nope. Nope, nope, no. Not me. You came to the wrong place, my friend. My channel just started gaining momentum. I'm not trying to get terminated. Nope. You gotta look somewhere else on the internet if for some sick ass reason you wanna watch people drink donkey juice. Not my channel. Now, I'm what some people would call a skeptic. I don't believe anything I see on the screen. I think all reality TV is fake. And I pray, dear God, I pray they fake this. I hope that's a jar of apple juice and milk, because there's no amount of money on the planet. Are you fucking kidding me? And on top of being a skeptic, I'm an outside-the-box thinker. How did they gather the donkey juice? Who had the task of extracting the stuff from the donkeys? Because goddamn, that's a lot of donkey juice. You know how long it would take to fill that? You gotta account for recharge time and all that. Or even worse, somehow, does this juice not belong to one donkey? Is this a jungle juice concoction supplied by multiple donkeys? Regardless, fucking nasty. I think of myself as an honorable man. I would never degrade myself for money. You see, these people here, this is the equivalent of selling your soul. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. But, if there was an amount of money I'd disgrace my name for, I need a billy. $1 billion. I need $1 billion. I need relocate money. You know what that means? Enough money to relocate myself, all my family, all my friends, anyone I care about to some remote island where we'll never be seen again. Off the grid. I can't stay around the city after I drank donkey. What? What? Hell no. I need $1 billion. $1 billion. And that's it. Donkey juice is officially rock bottom. It doesn't get worse than that. So to wrap things up, Fear Factor was a wild time in television history. It was a bold effort that capitalized on the tail end of the shock jock era in the late 90s, early 2000s. I respect the show because it is what it is, unapologetically. Just look at the episode titles, for instance. They could have went another route, like the insane mental test of endurance, or have been generic with titles like episode 17. But no, they were straightforward and transparent with titles like Eat Rectum. And I didn't make that up. There's literally an episode called Eat Ass. You gotta respect it. As mentioned before, Fear Factor profited over $500 million. Just goes to show you how sick humanity really is. For a couple years, this had a chokehold on society. Yeah, the extreme stunts were sometimes cool, but we all know we tuned in just to see what nasty shit Joe would get these poor bastards to consume. Fear Factor was the king of water cooler conversations for all the wrong reasons. Every week you'd go back to work or school and have the wildest back and forths with your friends. Yo, hey man, did you see Fear Factor last week? Yeah, Joe had them eating giraffe balls and shit. It was crazy. But eventually ratings began to plummet. An out-of-touch NBC responded by pumping out even more gross events to get viewers back. But it didn't work. Viewers finally got sick and tired of the same old formula. After a while, watching contestants have mental breakdowns just didn't have the same sting to it. We were numb.
Babe, I'm sorry.
Come on, Meg. It's one thing. It's 1 minute.
I can't do it, honey.
Yeah, she's a crybaby. And at this point, they were trying way too hard to disgust the viewers at home. In the later seasons, Joe himself would break character regularly to let us know how unnatural some of the stunts have become.
Just when I thought we hit the bottom of the gross out barrel. If you folks at home could just smell this, you would understand.
It seemed the audience moved on to other reality shows like American Idol. Fear Factor simply overstayed its welcome. It didn't know when to leave the party and became that weird guest who refused to go home. Shortly after, Joe outgrew the gig and decided to part ways with NBC. That's when the show was shopped around and was eventually picked up by MTV. Now, season 8 sucked. It was overproduced, unauthentic, had a bunch of rehashed stunts, more worms, more spiders. Yeah, we get it. They decided to replace Joe with none other than Atlanta-based rapper Ludacris. That was just a weird pairing because he's a well-known celebrity. When contestants would see him, they'd scream like teenage fans, and he'd always get a standing ovation. It was just so corny. No disrespect to Luda, get your money. This show was truly sick and twisted. I don't know what was wrong with me. I used to watch this religiously. What was wrong with us? Yes, you guys are included too. The numbers are there to support it. Millions and millions of weekly views, $600 million in profit. Someone had to be watching this filth. If I could go back in time to my precious teenage days and make one change to the shit I used to watch, I wouldn't change a damn thing. This show was fire. I don't care what anyone says. I recommend going back and taking in seasons 1 through 6, Doctor's Orders. And that's it for today, guys. If you're still watching, you already know I consider you my people and I appreciate you. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and consider subscribing. I have a bunch of other videos you might find interesting. Until next time, chase your dreams, do what you love, get better every day. I'm the Doctor, signing out. Gimme my music! I move in the nighttime, shit, everything I do in the nighttime. Make 1 turn 2 in the nighttime. Zoom from that bright light, move by my right side. Crew in the spot and it's like 2 o'clock. Wrist never been in cuffs, evident.